You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Go for it, Jim. Climb the ladder, kid. Make yourself famous.
A podcast covering all things WWE.
I have now returned to save the WWE.
NXT.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
And AEW.
Holy wrestling. I couldn't be more happy.
Here are your hosts, Kyle Gagliardi and Jim Tucker.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, Mr. AEW, Kyle Gagliardi, and as always, I am joined by my good friend, Jim Tucker, or as I like to call him, Tucky!
What's going on? I got to take notes on that intro.
Why is that? Oh.
For next week, yeah.
Yeah, next week's a big week for you, stepping in from the co-host role to the host role.
I'm going from the sidecar to the big boy.
Is this confirmed? Have you and Mikey Wilson been in talks?
Absolutely not, but it'll happen.
I was going to say,
I'll talk to somebody about wrestling next week.
I mean, worst case, you can put out a YouTube predictions video.
Absolutely not.
No, that's not in the plans.
It is, but that's not on the mark.
We used to do that.
Yeah, it got us through some slices of quarantine for sure.
It did. I looked back at some of those. Obviously, you were a lot heavier then because you're skinny Tucky now. Mm-hmm. And I had really no hair. I went with the buzz cut earlier in the quarantine.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
You remember Bald Liarda?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still balding, but...
Balding Liarda and Bald Liarda are not the same person.
They're not. Different personalities and everything. Balding Liarda actually won the AEW championship this weekend. So
yeah,
I'm going to give myself a round of applause. I know nobody gives a
shit.
shit.
As you will.
Somebody's got to do it because everybody's always rooting against me.
Nobody has to do it. Somebody's
got to root for me. Because you have the backing of probably every single listener that listens to our show.
Well, because I value every single listener, you know. I appreciate every listener that tunes into this podcast, and I understand that we wouldn't have this podcast without them.
That's half true. And also, half of our listeners do not matter. I don't care what they think because we are the ones hosting this show. We're the ones with the valued opinions. We're the ones creating content for them.
That's a yikes.
And that was me being the heel that I am. Other than that, Tucky, what you been up to, man? We got some nice weather over here in Northwest Indiana.
Living it up. We are days away from the official start of baseball season.
Uh-oh.
Friday. So we're recording this on a Thursday, but the Friday that you may listen to it, that a year ago is when we got initially bounced and delayed and bounced back. Not officially canceled. So if we get to Monday and we have a first official practice, it's going to be good. We are a couple weeks away. The 29th is our first game, so we're excited for that. At that point, it'll be 673 days between games.
But who's counting?
Not I, said the gym. But, yeah, so we're looking forward to it.
Let me look it up. The 29th is a Monday. Okay.
Correct, yeah.
I mean, I'll probably be watching Raw, but I guess if maybe Raw doesn't have...
First pitch is at 4:30. You know?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, yeah. We don't have lights. Oh, and we go to Calumet, so that's
kind of a hike for me.
Tuesday's a home game.
Tuesday, that 30th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then I might be there because NXT doesn't officially move to Tuesdays until April.
There we go.
So I would be in the clear, and I usually don't do anything on Tuesdays. Depending on how March Madness pans out, we will see. But speaking of March Madness, I won't be able to record next week since I will be in Las Vegas for the NCAA tournament. Tuck, I know you're not a big college basketball guy, but I was just talking to you before we were recording. You got to fill out a bracket this year.
I usually do. I just don't usually have a clue of what's going on. So, yeah, I'll fill it out. Go teams. I just hope they have fun, you know?
Yeah, that's the main goal.
Go get them. And at the end of it, somebody's going to win that championship.
Guaranteed. Unlike last year. We didn't have a tournament last year.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. So, yeah, cool.
If you want to join, though, our bracket challenge with the Overtime Sports Network, just shoot me a DM at 2SweetKyle or at _OTSN on Twitter, and I'll give you the password. It is $10 per bracket. Okay. You are allowed to have up to two brackets per person.
Got it.
So, yeah, if you want to have 2 entries, go for it. It's just going to cost you $20. And we are 3 days away from Selection Sunday. And if you're a fan of college basketball, we got something for you on the Overtime Sports Network. Just make sure you're following Facebook.com/OT Sports Network. Tune in after the selection show. I will be live with 3 other people, and the infamous Scott Angel, Viking Scott, will be joining.
Yes.
Big personality.
He's going to have a presence. I tell you, well-carried, well-spoken. What a guy.
Frequent guest on ESPN 1000. They know him as Viking Scott.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's friends with Jerko on ESPN 1000. So yeah, he's a well-traveled man. But go ahead and show some love. OTSportsNetwork.wixsite.com/OTSN is where you can find the web domain. And, of course, if you want to go on Twitter and Instagram, Tuck, where would you find Overtime Sports Network?
Easy peasy @_OTSN. Come on now.
The only reason I wanted to throw that over to you is I really needed a drink.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm drinking something very tasty.
Oh, yeah?
The Coca-Cola coffee.
Oh. I see on the top of that can it says dark blend.
It is a dark blend. Got to have that extra kick.
They call him dark blend Liardo.
They might. But, hey, that's a shout-out to Ryan Vogus because he hates when I plug Raise Energy for 4 minutes, as he would say.
Yeah.
But
would you like to plug Raise Energy?
Hey, Raise Energy, use code OTSN at checkout, repsports.com. Go ahead and get your variety pack like I just did today.
There you go.
And I got you some Broken Arrow pre-workout.
Hell yeah, brother.
Which you will consume tomorrow, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome stuff right there. So let's get into the wrestling.
16 seconds on that Raise promo. So.
Oh, yeah. But who's counting?
Yep.
Focus has to stop watching his car right now. He's like, oh, okay, Tuck was right.
Yeah.
AEW Revolution was this past Sunday. We took a trip over to our friend Mikey Wilson's. He had some good stuff brewing there on the smoker, Tucky.
Michael Wilson does not play games when it comes to the smoker. All right? He plays Monopoly weekly. He does not play games when it comes to the smoker. He brought his A game. He battled some adversity, holding temps in and out. You know, he had moments where he thought everything was going to go to shambles. He figured it out, and it almost did.
We did figure it out. Mikey has Xfinity, and that wasn't working well with AEW Revolution.
No, not compatible.
And he was on the phone for some time. He missed a little bit of it. But, Mikey, I know you are listening to this. So the stuff that you missed, we probably are going to go over in this episode, so we got you covered. Just like he had us covered with the food. I mean, some of us brought some snacks. Like you had the baked beans going.
Yeah, we got the baked beans going, a little snack board. We had you brought the pigs in a blanket.
Pigs in a blanket with the little touch of everything bagel seasoning on top.
That was a nice touch. It shows. You know, I'm not just going to do it. I'm going to go a little bit above, a little bit above.
That's how I do it. When somebody else is hosting, I like to give a little Gagliarditizers.
Yeah,
give it my little chef's kiss,
yeah,
so to say. But we aren't going to go into every single match that happened from Sunday because if we did, it would probably take us a very long time. We're on a very tight ship here. We got to get done before 5:30. Indiana basketball plays. They will lose.
Ooh, we need to put up the clock like they do on Raw.
or like the clock at the end of the barbed wire match.
Yes. If that fire happened in here, I think we'd still be safe.
We'd be safe.
I think we'd be okay.
We'll touch on that for sure.
Jesus.
But the first matchup that was on the card is something we really didn't get to see much of because that's when we were going through the technical difficulties with Revolution. The Young Bucks retained their AEW Tag Team Championships to kick off the pay-per-view. Like I said, we didn't get to see much of it, but from what you saw, Tucky, I thought it was a fairly good match, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I thought it was good. You know, a little bit tough for us bouncing between streams and trying to catch it in glimpses and things like that, but it did what it needed to do in that it provided a good match to kick off the show, and it allowed us to see or to begin thinking what could happen to the Inner Circle. You pair that with a well-branded War Council coming to AEW Dynamite the following Wednesday.
Did you see what happened there or heard what happened?
I have heard what happened.
So
I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna tune into that tonight. But AEW does a good job tying and weaving things together from one show to the next. Long-term
storytelling.
Long-storm storytelling.
I was thinking of Toni Storm in that outfit last night, man.
Yeah, she's a very talented wrestler. I will give her that.
For sure. But no, I thought this was... I actually went back and watched this match. I went on watchwrestling.in on my smart TV because that's where you get free stuff. Hopefully they don't crack them down now that we just said that. But
And we are now canceled.
there goes that. But no, I thought it was a very good kickoff, and the right team won. I think most of us expected the Young Bucks to retain their titles, and we all kind of saw that this Inner Circle stuff wasn't going to last forever. And as you may have heard, or the people that are listening may have seen already, we know that the Inner Circle is no longer, or at least that there is some cracks in that. We're going to just keep it at that. But Young Bucks retain. Good match. Good start to Revolution. But, hey, we didn't get to see most of it.
Yeah.
After that, the Casino Tag Team Royal was really all about the finish here, Tuck. First off, we didn't know there was going to be that many teams
No.
in it. When we talked about it last week, it was like 6.
Yeah.
There's a lot more than that in this match.
Yeah. About 9 more. Yeah. So
About 9, but
in the typical casino battle royale, there's 30 entries, and we still got those 30, but we had them split up between the 15 teams.
yeah, and it really just came down to Rey Fenix Jr. and Jungle Boy at the end, and it was quite the finishing sequence. I know Vogus showed me when we were at Mikey's. Did you get a chance to see how that match actually ended?
I don't think so.
Oh, man, you got to look it up. It's definitely on Twitter somewhere, but Vogus showed us right afterward. The chemistry, and I don't even know if the word is chemistry, just the athleticism between Jungle Boy and Rey Fenix to create that finisher. It kind of felt like a Royal Rumble because the same concept is to get that guy over the top rope to win.
Yeah.
Rey Fenix was that guy to do that, but I think AEW has done a very good job slowly building up Jungle Boy into the single star because even though he lost here, Tuck, it seems like over the past few weeks and even months, Jungle Boy has been getting a little bit of shine on Dynamite.
Yeah, and he was in the ring first before Rey Fenix, so you always have that feather in your cap that I was in there longer. I didn't have my legs quite like you did. That argument as well. So strong in defeat for Jungle Boy. Yeah.
And then we would find out that obviously Rey Fenix won, so him and Pac, the Death Triangle, are going to get a tag team title shot in the near future. We really don't know when that's going to be, but we do know it should be a banger.
I think it will be.
And Death Triangle in general, we knew before the pandemic started that was a thing. I was very excited for it.
Yeah.
And it was a shame that Pac was left overseas during all of it. And
just waving.
Just waiting for this
from
moment.
The shore.
But hey, they knew once he came back that they were going to pull the trigger, and they did. But after that, Shida retained her women's championship against Mitsunami. The only thing I want to ask you is, who do you think is next for Hikaru Shida?
I almost said Raquel Gonzalez. Wrong show. Hikaru Shida.
It's between like 3 people, right?
Britt Baker.
Yeah. Like, how many times do we have to go on this podcast and speak it into existence that Britt Baker should be AEW Women's Champion?
Not enough, apparently.
And I know we talked about it, everybody that was at Revolution. Even our guy Nate Fowler was there from the Region Degenerates. Something is missing in the AEW's women's division. It's something we keep repeating over and over again. Britt Baker's out there. They now got Maki Ito. I don't know if she's signed to a full-time deal. Not a big fan at the party for Maki Ito. A lot of people weren't on.
I just think we're so unfamiliar, so we got to give it time.
I like Maki Ito. And
I don't know her.
She was a part of that.
She's kind of edgy, right?
Yeah. She was the one I was telling you about last week. She says, fuck you and simp to everybody that responds to her on Twitter.
Okay.
That's that one. So
there's that.
Big fan of hers, but it's got to be Britt Baker. You know how they say it's got to be Kane?
Yeah.
It's got to be Britt Baker.
I think so too.
So let's hope that happens. If not, her and Thunder Rosa, I believe, have a False Count Anywhere match.
Hey-o. That'll be a good one.
So that should definitely be good. But something that was good on Revolution was the Face of TNT ladder match. We would find out that mystery wrestler was indeed Ethan Page, like you predicted, Tuck. You actually got that right. It wasn't part of the prediction, but you expected Ethan Page to be the guy, and he was.
I did. Yeah, so there he was. And I picked Mystery Guy, so when I did find out it was him in the particular match, I was like, well, I don't think he's going to win now. I do think he's a future star, and he's got the potential. But where they were at in that moment, I was like, gosh, darn it.
Him versus Darby, not yet.
No.
That doesn't make much sense.
He just doesn't quite have the he's not as well known, so.
I saw a critique. They're like, even with NXT, when EC3 debuted in the ladder match, it seems like it's an overdone thing now to have these people debut in your company in a ladder match. Like, is that really the best way to introduce a guy like Ethan Page, or you're fine with that one right there?
I'm okay with it. I like the pop, so.
Yeah, and the crowd definitely reacted. They knew who he was. We knew who he was because we got to see him at Black Label Pro this past summer, which that was the only time I've ever seen Ethan Page work, but I believe he is known for his work in the North. Was that the tag team?
Yeah, he was in the North, yep. Saw him wrestle Jordan Grace all over on the Square Sports Academy at a Black Label Pro show like 3 years ago.
Really?
All over, up in the bleachers, banging each other with chairs. It was like a Falls Count Anywhere match.
That had to be fun.
It was. Again, Ethan Page, Darby Allin was on that show too.
Marco Stunt, right?
Yep, Marco Stunt, Brian Alvarez.
You were in it before
PCO.
you even knew you were in it.
Yeah. Yep.
Now we can actually reach out to these guys. Hey, you want to come on our podcast?
Yeah.
Which we have discussed. I know we're 52 episodes in. We've never really had an official interview with a wrestler, but we are going to look into some, hosting sites.
Yeah, as it begins to develop and things start to open back up and these wrestlers have more activity, I think with Warrior Wrestling being so close to us and Black Label Pro, I think we will have some success in getting some guys on. We're local, they're local. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, the drive to Warrior Wrestling was, 35 minutes from where we're at right now?
Yeah, maybe. Like it's nice.
It's an easy drive, and this isn't even a secret. I have contacted the head of Warrior Wrestling before, and he seems like a very cool guy. So I definitely think in the future we can maybe get somebody on. But back to the ladder match here. Cody was selling the arm injury for most of this match, and he actually spent majority of that time away in the back. Did you also think when that happened that he was going to return late and potentially steal a win in like a heelish way?
Well, I really figured he was going to return because they left him in the shot. So, you have that dangling, carrot that he's going to come back, which did make me question if he was going to win or not, but I was glad he didn't.
No, and I think this is just building to that potential storyline that could be there with Cody, and it was Ethan Page, right, that caused the injury? Or no, that was Penta.
Yeah.
Which we would end up finding out on Dynamite that they are going to go into that feud, which sign me up.
I'm here for it, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, too, the best to do it. But I think exactly in this ladder match itself, each guy got a spot or two, and that's kind of like what you want out of these multi-man matches, a chance for each guy to showcase their skills. And I don't think anyone that was on the losing end of this thing is hurt. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the beauty of these ladder matches. Now, can we talk about the brass ring?
I wonder what that had to insinuate.
Because that thing was ass.
Oh,
the physical thing that Scorpio Sky hoisted in victory.
Something you would sit on for your hemorrhoids.
Ass. Yes. Literal.
Yeah, not great. What else could you put up there? A contract?
A briefcase?
Yeah.
I know that's like...
A clipboard?
Yeah.
Like, it's a brass ring. That's just another jab at WWE. Cause
an AEW logo? Like, just grab the logo.
Just something.
A TNT logo for branding or something?
Yeah. Actually, that's a very smart one.
The face of the Revolution
An exploding
logo.
TNT logo.
That thing was just a straight up inner tube, bro.
Yeah, that could have been better things right there. But hey, I like the guy who won. Scorpio Sky ended up getting the victory here in the ladder match. I think it made the most sense considering of who was in that match.
Yeah.
Like we stated last week, a new personality kind of with Scorpio. I don't know what happened this week. You may.
I am unaware.
That's the one thing that happened from Dynamite that I do not know anything about. So while we're recording this, we don't know what his status is with Darby Allin, but he won a TNT title shot. So overall thoughts for you on the match?
I thought it was good. Not unbelievable.
So where was it? Like third maybe on the match of the night, in your opinion?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about where I'd probably put it at. Behind these two.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, the street fight between Darby Allin, Sting, and Team Taz. This was better than I expected it to be. We knew it was going to be a cinematic type of match, but
Did we though? I think
we had a clue.
I think leading. I thought there, in my perspective, it went like it's going to be a cinematic, and then there were things that showed Sting being physical and doing things in the ring. They didn't outright say cinematic, and then it happened, and I was like, I wasn't surprised, but I also would not have been surprised if it was an actual street fight either, which they hosted a street fight in a building, which, okay.
An abandoned building that I thought was pretty badass.
I thought it was cool. Hats off to the composer of the musical score behind it. I thought that was great. I am on the fence and have not decided whether I like the live commentary over a
I think Vogus brought that up, didn't he?
Show.
We were watching. And I didn't really pay much attention to it until he pointed it out. And as we have alluded to in the past with WWE cinematic matches, they kind of just let it breathe, let it do its own thing. It was very distracting to have like Taz yell, "Oh, watch out, Darby!" or something like that.
We had it planned. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, so I don't think it rubbed me quite the wrong way like it did other people or some. But I would like to go watch it with the music only, maybe, and see what it looked like without the commentary. But yeah.
The production level was high. Like, we know what WWE is capable of because they've done it before. Mm-hmm. AEW had that Stadium Stampede match, but this is a different venue, a different setting, a different style, and I thought it complemented Sting very well, especially for someone of his age.
Yeah. I liked the color palette, kind of the, all the colors available,
the eerie feel to it.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
In its own way, it kind of felt like the Boneyard match.
Yeah.
And I think those are perfect kind of matches for guys like The Undertaker and Sting. Mm-hmm. They're older. You don't want to put them at risk. They've had past injuries in the ring. You have this cinematic production. What are the odds Sting's going to get hurt in that?
Well, I think they're better that he'll be safe for sure. So.
Yeah, and Darby looks good. That's up his alley. Brian Cage had a cool spot carrying Darby Allin up the stairs with ease. Mm-hmm. That's why they call him the Machine, Tuck.
Yeah. Yep.
So, 2 thumbs up from me.
Me too.
And then the main event, which got a lot of people talking, some for the right reasons, some for not great reasons.
Well, do we want to talk? Do we talk about Christian Cage?
Oh, that's at the end.
Got it.
So Christian Cage is at the
I'm
end.
just going to look at the doc.
So Kenny Omega, we know by now, retained his AEW title in what was a very intense, exploding barbed wire death match. It's the result we both expected, most of us expected. The brutality was there, the intensity, the explosions were there inside the ring when you would touch them.
Yeah.
And some of the spots, of course, the paradigm shift to the outside to Kenny Omega was tough with the barbed wire. And there was a lot of, very close calls with the ropes and all that. But overall, until we got to the very end result, I thought very intense, great barbed wire death match. I
was very satisfied. I thought both of them sold well. It made it feel like they 100% did not want to touch the barbed wire. They didn't want to deal with the explosions. Their facial expressions, their body language, it was physical, it was tactical, there was strategy. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and that's the selling is a good point, too. And even with Kenny Omega, he would sell his eyes at a time, just by the shock of going into the explosion on the ring. And then they had that exploding bat, too, which I thought was a really cool spot. Like, it's something you're not always going to expect. And we talked about it last week. This shouldn't be a match that happens a lot.
No.
We don't need to see this. I don't need to see it once a year. I'm good with it every other year, every 5 years. But for this feud, it made a lot of sense. Kenny Omega retains. But after the match, let's get into that. So they don't know how to shut off the explosion, apparently. Like, that's a thing. So no matter what, after 30 minutes, it's going off. There's no just off button. So there's that. The Good Brothers came out. They attacked Jon Moxley, yada, yada, yada. Eddie Kingston comes out to protect his brother. We get the countdown. We're waiting for the explosion. Fountains.
Pop, 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 like firecrackers.
If you haven't seen it, you're probably not a wrestling fan. I'm sure all wrestling fans have seen it by now.
Yeah.
It was they built up this moment with an intense countdown, the sound effects and everything. Eddie Kingston is literally covering up Jon Moxley, and that's what we get.
Mm-hmm.
Vince McMahon always says the only thing they're going to remember is what happens last.
Yep.
That ruined a lot of things from that main event.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, this is the first one that I feel like AEW just didn't knock it out of the park. And, oh, man, it was just a letdown.
It was a what the fuck moment, but in the bad way.
Yeah.
Because we all just said, it was like, was that it?
Is that a joke?
Like, we thought it was a rib. We thought we were getting ribbed about that.
Yeah. Nope.
No, that was 100% serious. And I saw a lot of people say it, and we were even talking about it too. Why would Eddie continue to sell that after what just happened? Why couldn't somebody around the ring or in the arena just say, hey, Eddie, it wasn't that bad. Like, don't sell it like that.
Mm-hmm.
We find out on Dynamite, he said it gave him flashbacks to when he was
Cool.
in the Clink.
Sure.
Okay, that's a way to connect the dots, sure.
Nah.
But great main event. You have that stipulation. The explosion goes off, and that's what we get. If WWE did something like that, and that's what happened, do you know how many people would still be talking about that?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
AEW is going to get a pass for this because they are a newer company, and that's fair. But you have the money, you have the production level. You can't let that flop. That can't happen ever again. That ruined, I don't want to say the pay-per-view because I still enjoyed it, but it ruined the buzz that could have been coming off of it, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, that's the only thing you're going to want to talk about because that was the most hyped part of the event. And when you're going to shoot your shot like that, you better come correct.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, like, did they do a rehearsal? Did like people agree on that? They were like, yeah, that's good enough.
That's a good
that'll
question.
work. That's the thing that, like,
maybe they didn't for money purposes.
bro.
I know, like, it's Tony Khan. Like, the Khan family's billionaires. They shouldn't
Right.
have a money issue.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah, you
that's
would
the thing
think.
that frustrates me. This is that you've sold the whole thing. In 30 minutes, it's going to go off, and then you pin him early. It's still going off. It's still going to be a
Yeah,
problem.
the announcers were, Excalibur was still selling it.
And you have that great layer at the end where Eddie Kingston comes in to save the day, and nothing.
I do like that dynamic, though, being rekindled. The Kingston-Moxley relationship.
Yeah.
Like, the history is there, and I think that's something that's going to be good going forward. Hell, Kingston and Moxley could be tag team champions.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. But overall, that explosion with the air quotes that I'm putting on it right now was a letdown.
Not good.
Something that some people may consider a letdown, I definitely did not, was the announcement of the signing to AEW. We would find out that signing was indeed Christian Cage, a.k.a. Christian from WWE, a guy that we just saw at the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Is now a part of All Elite Wrestling. Tuck, a lot of people seem to be disappointed. I think Christian is a great gift for AEW. He seems like he's got a lot left in the tank. What's your take on this whole Christian Cage signing?
My thumb is in the middle. I don't think it's a home run, knockout of the park signing. I don't think it's a complete flop. I get it. It's a big name, current name, trending. Does seem like he has a lot to offer still. But just from my I didn't have a ton of Christian in my experience. That's the thing. I just have distance with him. So.
I want you. We haven't done Tucky's homework in a while, and I know you're a busy man. But go back to Christian versus Randy Orton at SummerSlam, I believe 2012 or 2013.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those two. I think it was a no-holds-barred match. It was for the World Heavyweight Championship. Phenomenal. That is my favorite Christian match, and that's the Christian I like to remember. I mean, you probably hear it still to this day. You might not have seen a lot of Christian, but one of the most underrated workers of all time. There's a reason his shirt says outwork everyone when he came to AEW. He's 47. He's signing this multi-year deal. I think this is obvious, though, too, that not only is he going to help from an in-ring standpoint, you got that big noggin of his, all that experience to help out in the back with all these other people now coming to AEW.
Yeah, absolutely. The conversation being had online seems to talk about AEW getting into the TNA territory. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, in a way, yes, from how they are dragging older talent over to the company, but no, because I think AEW is doing stuff that TNA wasn't doing. The long-term storytelling, building up young talent. Like MJF is a megastar. He's going to be huge. They have young pieces. They have their own guys in the Lucha Bros. They have Cody. They have more than just the former old retired wrestlers. I think there's more juice behind AEW than there is TNA. But I get the comparison.
Sure, I'm not very familiar, so that's why I asked you.
I believe it or not, there is a few YouTube reviews of TNA Impact of me.
Oh,
it's in the archives. And it's under my personal YouTube channel, Too Sweet Kyle. So if you ever want to find that, I believe that's when Bobby Roode was TNA champion.
Nice.
So yeah, that was definitely a thing. I think a problem though, for a reason some people might be disappointed, is that wrestling fans like to set their expectations too high.
I mean, they said Hall of Fame worthy though.
Christian is Hall of Fame worthy.
I get it, but when you say Hall of Fame worthy, Brock Lesnar's Hall of Fame worthy. When you start throwing out names, but it's easy to hype yourself up.
And I know I was big on the Brock Lesnar thing. I thought it was a possibility, but if you look at it from the grand scheme of things, Brock Lesnar's tight with Vince McMahon. Like, they're close.
Yeah.
If AEW were to offer Brock, I think Vince would just one-up him.
Yeah.
Get him back.
Just becomes a bidding war at that point.
Correct.
Yeah.
CM Punk, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Like, I think that name just needs to be taken out of every rumors, because if he didn't return at a Rumble, if he hasn't returned or made his debut in AEW yet, he's only getting older. So that one has to lay to rest. I just think people need to stop setting these expectations too high for the biggest names possible, because sometimes those are the most unrealistic. Christian Cage, in my opinion, is a very good signing for AEW. But overall, what letter grade would you give AEW Revolution?
Pre-explosion, A. Post-explosion,
that's a thing.
C+.
I'm just going to bring it all together and say B.
Sure.
I think that's fair, because there were some great moments. There also was some forgettable moments.
Yeah, I agree.
Nothing was bad. The only thing that was bad was that explosion.
Yeah.
So overall, definitely not AEW's best.
No.
Definitely doesn't compare to last year's Revolution.
Not even close.
But I still like AEW.
Yeah, me too.
We're still going to continue to watch.
We'll keep watching, and there's still plenty of stuff to be satisfied with. So, yeah, we'll see.
And I'm sure we will touch on it. Well, not next week, because I won't be here. Maybe you guys will. Oh, no. Next week's going to be a Fastlane show. In the weeks to come, we will go more into this MJF, Inner Circle, and Horseman ordeal that is going on. But I don't know enough concrete details about it, because I haven't watched it. Neither have you. So we'll leave it at that. Anything else from AEW talk?
I think that's it.
All right, so we're going to finish the show with some NXT talk from this week, March 10th, 2021. So just like with our AEW talk, we're not going to go into every single detail from this episode, but we will touch on the major stuff. Tuck, you watched the first hour of this show live, correct?
I did. Yeah, I watched the first hour live, and I caught the other hour this morning.
I tried to do the live tweeting, but there was too many spoilers on AEW. We follow a lot of AEW fans on the wrestling Twitter.
Which makes sense.
So I had to go away from that. So sorry if you were actually looking forward to those live tweets. I know maybe only one of you might have been. But NXT opened up with General Manager William Regal announcing two things, Tuck. One, there will be a 2-night special for TakeOver Stand and Deliver. And number two, there are NXT Women's Tag Team Championships now, and the winners of the Dusty Classic, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, are the very first champions for the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. First, with the 2-night special. That's awesome, right?
I thought it was cool, and I also think it gives it more of a big actual pay-per-view feel, because they're doing one of the nights on Peacock.
Peacock, the Thursday night, right?
It's a smart move. You could do the first night on cable, second night on pay-per-view. You're kind of, because WrestleMania is after that, correct?
It is. So the week that is WrestleMania week, you have Raw, you have the Hall of Fame on Tuesday, You have TakeOver on Wednesday, Thursday. You have SmackDown on Friday, and then 2 days of WrestleMania.
Ugh.
Every day of the week has something WWE related.
Ugh. That's
I mean, you don't have to watch the Hall of Fame, but I
I
probably
know.
will.
but you're gonna watch everything else.
Yeah, which is every day but Tuesday.
Still a lot, yeah.
But 2-night TakeOver has never been done before. It seems to be something that WWE might.
They're gonna dabble with, and
Yeah.
it is smart trying to get people into Peacock before the
True.
WrestleMania. So,
And oh no, it's not on Tuesday. I was gonna say it's also a trial and error for their move to Tuesday, but they won't be on Tuesday. It's Wednesday and Thursday for TakeOver Stand and Deliver. So the second announcement, I love the fact that there is women's tag team championships now in NXT, because we have alluded to it in the past. There's a lot of good tag teams in NXT. Maybe it would have made sense for the main roster belts to kind of just move over, but I look at it this way, Tuck. If you have those in NXT, you can build these women's tag teams there to call up to the main roster,
yeah,
and then eventually take over the tag division on the main roster.
I agree. I think it's a good opportunity to get more people work.
That too, yeah.
The tag teams in NXT in the women's division are going to start establishing themselves now, so it doesn't feel like all of these people are thrown together on the main roster. So I think it's good.
Yeah, they've been doing that over the past month,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like. So they were prepping them for this moment. And them just giving the belts to Kai and Gonzalez, did you think that was the right decision too?
No,
You didn't like that?
I wish they would have just went
Open.
for it in the redo the finals. But yeah,
In a way, they did redo the finals. It was just with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez as the tag team champions, which we'll just talk about that one now, since that's what we are talking about. So the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship, not only were their new titles announced, but they were to be defended as Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon would take on Dakota Kai and Raquel. This, for me, Tuck, was the match of the night. I even thought it was better than Adam Cole and Finn Balor. These four women put on quite the show for the tag team championship.
I am still going to go with Adam Cole and Finn Balor as my match of the night.
That's fine.
But that tag team is what you're going to want. They set the bar high, so we're going to expect every tag team match after that to kind of try to live up, maybe. But I did not think they were going to flip the titles.
I don't think
And
a lot of people did.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought it was too. And I think these four women are extremely talented, and they work so well together. You would think that these two pairs of teams have been working together for years. Dakota Kai and Gonzalez is a year tops. Shotzi and Ember was kind of just thrown together 2 months ago.
Uh-huh.
It just goes to show you how talented and how deep the NXT women's division is. So going off of that win with Shotzi, she rolled up Dakota Kai. They are the new NXT Tag Team Champions, her and Ember Moon. A lot seem to be mad about it. I can tell you are on my side of the spectrum about this decision. I think it makes a lot of sense. Maybe you weren't expecting it,
Yeah,
but you're okay with Ember and Shotzi getting the win here, right?
I am. I got the pick right. It was just a month late.
Yeah, it's all right. You still retained your NXT title, so it didn't affect that.
Nope.
Yeah, a lot of people are mad about it. And why would you be mad about Shotzi and Ember winning?
I don't know. I can't think of a good reason.
You know, the only reason right when they lost, too, right when Raquel and Dakota lost, the first thing that went to my mind was, do you remember Raquel and Io having a stare down before that match? Well,
Oh, I
Io
don't.
defeated Toni Storm,
Mm-hmm.
and then she was walking away, but she glanced over at Raquel, and Raquel looked back at her.
Oh, I didn't seem to catch that. Yeah.
Little thing they just
Nice.
throw in there that you gotta find. But right away when Raquel and Dakota lost, I'm like, Raquel's got to be the one to go against Io.
There we
right?
go. Yeah.
We talked about that a couple months ago. We were expecting it once Raquel beat Rhea
Mm-hmm.
that she'd be the one, but now it looks like she's going to move on to Io Shirai. Overall, pretty cool way to kick off NXT, huh?
Yeah, and I'll take it because we didn't even go into the night expecting that match.
Well, we expected 2 championship matches.
Right.
We got 3,
Yep.
which is pretty crazy. And not only did we get 3 championship matches, but we had 2 teams as tag team champions in the same night.
Yeah.
How many times does that happen? Can't be, like, not since I've been
Nope.
watching.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool to say. But the match that actually kicked off NXT was the women's championship match, and that was between Io Shirai and Toni Storm. Another great match here on NXT, especially for the women. The women really had a strong showing here. Toni Storm really had it all going for her in this match. She hit not one, but two Storm Zeros that Io would then kick out of. Overall, I thought it was a great match. Don't know when Toni really is ever going to win the strap, but you can't complain about having another great women's match on NXT.
Every match she's in is pretty good. The more and more I see her, I'm not super familiar with her, but every time I watch her wrestle, I'm like, man, she's pretty good. She'd be a good champion. And then she ends up in these spots where like there's not quite room at the top. So in a year, maybe, I don't know.
She was NXT UK champion.
We'll see. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She stateside, I think she's just kind of, yeah, it's interesting.
Well, she came back to the States as a face, and then she kind of converted into this heel role, which I don't 100% follow why she's like the way she is. There's really no backstory.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just for War Games. She was put on the heel team, so now she has to be bad, you know?
Sure.
But Toni Storm's great. Like I said, she gave it her all. Io retains in a really competitive match. Overall thoughts about Io retaining here?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. That's all.
Nothing else?
Nope.
That's all you got?
Yep.
That's all you got for me?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So the last thing I had from NXT, because there was a few other things that happened, but I don't think we need to talk about Xia Li.
Nah.
Don't really need to get into that. LA Knight has a match next week. I'm getting blinded right now.
Yeah, you're getting clapped right now by the sun, but
We're not used to recording when the sun's out.
yeah.
It's usually dark.
Nice.
By the time we're recording. So we'll go to the main event. NXT Championship match between Finn Balor and Adam Cole. It's really hard when you have these two guys to have a bad match, and we had another outstanding one here in the main event of NXT.
Gave it plenty of time too. As I was watching the time bar at the bottom, I'm like, man, they're gonna go. So, yeah, it was a good match.
I think they started entrances at 8:35.
Yeah, Finn looked like dominant with how he was kicking out, what he was kicking out of.
We kind of looked bad on our take from like a month ago. We were kind of not ripping Finn, but we were saying like,
we were wanting this Finn. This was the Finn we wanted.
True, yeah.
We yearning for good Finn.
The Finn we deserve.
Yes. I think we're getting it. And now Karrion Kross is just going to come up and clap the belt.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. But towards the end of this match, Balor sent Cole outside, and that's when we saw Kyle O'Reilly come in the dark with his denim jacket. He's got that look, and I saw somebody tweet about it. Credit to the NXT makeup person, because like he had the dreary eyes and looked like he hasn't slept, and he's been thinking about Adam Cole, so that was very cool. But that distraction set up the Prince to hit the 1916, followed by the coup de grace. Finn Balor retains his NXT championship. So it's looking like for NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver, at least one of the nights you're going to get Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole. The other night you might be getting Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross.
Let's do it.
Those are two main events right there.
Sign me up for both.
Kyle O'Reilly versus Finn Balor. I know there's no title on the line, but man, with the history and the way things have transpired. Sorry. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. That's the match I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, it'll be good because there's the story behind it and the emotion behind it, and
real emotion.
Yes. So
they have 3 years of history dominating NXT, and now they're off on their own. You would think Kyle O'Reilly's got to win that, right?
Yep. Send Adam Cole to WrestleMania.
Oh yeah. Or maybe they kind of do their usual IC title ladder match, and there's an empty spot.
Nope.
Adam Cole. Perfect call-up right there. So if we do get Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross, it would make a lot of sense, because at the end, you would see Finn Balor in the ring, and you would hear him say, "What took you so long?" Camera pans over to Karrion Kross, just chilling behind him. I thought that was a very cool ending. Very well done to get two matches ready for TakeOver Stand and Deliver. We were talking about Karrion Kross. What is he going to do? He had that thing with Santos Escobar. That was okay.
Sure.
He's back in the title scene. He's facing the
where
guy
he
that
belongs.
took the title.
Let's go.
And then
Heat it up.
I think Karrion's got to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't want Finn to leave NXT because he's just starting to get good.
Yeah, I know. Spoiled. We're getting spoiled right now. So.
Spoiled with NXT and AEW.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with Erica Marini, actually, while watching NXT, and she actually brought it up. She goes, the main roster just doesn't compare to this. You know? Like, when we watch Raw and SmackDown, it kind of feels like a homework assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to be doing it. But when I'm watching NXT and AEW, I'm like, this is fun.
Well, yeah. And it almost feels like they wash it so much to try to get all of the general public and things like that. NXT is just gritty professional wrestling.
Well, that's the exact point I brought to Marini. I said they're going after all ages and all demographics.
Yeah.
Like, they're trying to have something for everyone that tunes in they can say, oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
NXT and AEW know their audience.
Yep.
Mainly 18 to 35 male demographic, the hardcore pro wrestling fan.
Right.
And hey, we fit in that demographic.
Oh yeah.
And we like all the shows. It's just for me and probably for you, NXT and AEW take the cake. But that was NXT in a nutshell. Like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, LA Knight will make his debut match against Bronson Reed, a guy that we haven't talked much about, but he seems to be getting a lot of hype on social media.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with him. I'm interested to see how it goes.
Great promo guy.
Yeah, he can talk.
So far what we've heard from him has been fantastic. So that should be good, but I think I'll probably watch AEW live next week just because NXT have 3 championship matches, so how can they outdo it?
Right. I agree.
That's how I view things. It's weird, and we only have to deal with that for a couple more weeks now, like deciding what we're going to watch live, but that's usually what draws me in. Is just, do you have a championship match? Okay, I'll watch it. But other than that, I think I'll give AEW a shot. But that's all I got for you, Tuck. Anything else you got from this week in wrestling?
No, that's all I got as well. I'm interested to see, as I watch AEW, how they kind of tie in and wrap up Revolution. I've seen some of it with Moxley and Kingston, things like that. I think they're doing their best.
Yeah.
At least they're not trying to sell it as some big explosion.
So from what I remember that I watched right before bed, I know Moxley and Kingston said that the explosion, they were just kind of making fun of it, poking at it. But Omega and God, what's his face? Callis were making it seem like that was what was intended. So it's kind of like two conflicting.
Yeah.
We just need to move past it. Well, you don't have to keep bringing it up.
That's it. Yeah.
The feud's done.
Right.
We think. Well, and we'll go from there. But yeah, that's all I got.
Until next week, where I might have a podcast with somebody.
I don't like might. I want to hear a podcast. So my goal is that there is one. I can download it for my flight home.
What day is that?
My flight home's Monday. So
okay.
You can make it happen for me. I want a good quality wrestling podcast.
Well, if my schedule allows it, you will get a podcast.
With someone.
Maybe.
It doesn't sound good.
Talking with Tuck.
Could you imagine a solo
on the Tuck Wrestling Podcast?
I tried to do that one time for Family Divided, and it's so hard.
Yeah, I could imagine.
How did Tyler do it back in the day with Griffle Talk?
Well, Tyler is a beast. You know, he's cut from a different cloth, that Mr. T-Walk.
A lot of people give him shit, but he understands it.
He's actually not that bad.
He gets it. Tyler gets it.
Until next time, thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the On the Mark Podcast.
Brock Lesnar going for an F5 to Cena for the championship. Lesnar with the cover.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Pod on the Mark. Pod on the Mark.